p.m. on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to Hot Edition. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Coming up tonight, Ashanti Regional NPP Chairman Antwi Boasiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, is reportedly struggling to meet his bail conditions after the High Court granted him bail of 10 million cedis with 2 sureties. His lawyers are racing against time, fearing he may spend the night in custody if the conditions are not met soon.
Meeting the bail conditions at this present time will be difficult. Although we have the sureties and they have also brought the documents. We hope that tomorrow we'll be able to finish and then secure the release of the accused persons.
We'll hear from his lawyers and bring you all the details. Also, Takwa Circuit Court remands 12 suspects for their alleged role in the destruction of Takoradi to Nsuta Rail Lines. Later, meanwhile, hundreds surrender ongoing crackdown by the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations NIAMOS. We have details of these and more in the next 60 minutes. Stay with us. Before we get to the details, Safa Boahim is here with the news summaries.
Welcome. This is a news summary segment. Our first story now. The Office of the Attorney General has charged a Kontam mining company and its owner Antwi Boasiako, Chairman Wontumi, with illegal mining and environmental offences in the Takoradi Forest Reserve. Filed on October 6, 2025, the case accuses them of mining without a license, destroying forest cover and polluting the Takoradi River. 3 associates are also named in the suit. And moving forward, the move signals the state's push to hold high-profile figures accountable in the fight against galamsey. To our second story, now, the Ghana Meteorological Agency (GMET) has warned of moderate to heavy rainfall with thunderstorms and strong winds across parts of the country today, Tuesday, October 7. And the storm moving westward is expected to affect coastal, middle, and northern sectors with possible flooding in low-lying areas, GMET has cautioned. And away from that, former Auditor General Daniel Yadomelevu has accused former Attorney General Ni Ayikweotu of presenting fake documents during the in-camera hearings of petitions against former Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. Speaking on the KSM show, Domelevu said one of the documents allegedly appointing Justice Torkornoo was signed by the Judicial Secretary, not the President. Ayikweotu, however, insists the Chief Justice acted within her travel entitlement, arguing that any dispute over allowances should have been handled through an audit, not used as grounds for removal. So our last story now, public transport fares may increase from October 16 as the GPRTU cites rising fuel prices since the 15% fare reduction in May. Fuel now sells at 13 cedis 38 pesos per litre for petrol and 14 cedis 20 pesos for diesel, up from 11 cedis 34 pesos and 12 cedis 69 pesos respectively, prompting operators to push for fare and adjustment. And over to you, Grace.
Thank you so much, Safwa. My colleague Safa Boahim bringing us the news summaries there. Let's get straight into the bulletin and begin with Chairman Wontumi. The Ashanti Regional NPP Chairman Antwi Boasiako, also known as Chairman Wontumi, is tonight struggling to meet bail conditions after being granted a 10 million cedis bail with 2 sureties by the High Court. His lawyers fear he may spend the night in custody if the bail terms are not satisfied on time. The bill follows fresh criminal charges filed by the Attorney General's office against Wontumi and his company, Akonta Mining Limited, over alleged illegal mining and environmental destruction in the Takoradi Forest Reserve in the Western region. The court earlier granted him a 15 million bail, but he was rearrested and arraigned before another High Court on 7 counts, including mining without a license, abetting the felling of trees, and erecting buildings in a forest reserve without authority. Court document indicates the company allegedly used up to 40 excavators, destroyed about 13 hectares of forest, and polluted the Takoradi River. We'll be crossing over to my colleague Lord Edwasai, who was in court for proceedings. But now let's speak to Dennis, my colleague here, who has details of the court proceedings. Dennis, talk to us. What charges have been preferred against Chairman Wontumi?
Well, so Grace, it's important for us to indicate that we are dealing with 2 separate matters. That's because he's been charged with 2 different charge sheets. So in one in one breath, even though all the charges relate to illegal mining. They are put in different matters. So let's begin with the first one, in which he's charged with an offense of assignment of mineral rights without approval and also purposely facilitating unlicensed mining operation. This he's charged together with 2 others. And the one person, which is an artificial person, is the company Akonta Mining, and also one Henry Okum, who is a native of Krobo, Odumasi. Now, that is one separate case. In that particular matter, he was granted bail to the sum of 15 million with 3 sureties. It was in that particular matter that he's been asked to put on a stop list. His passport also asked to deposit his passport. Just when that was done, then another charge sheet was served on him. That is to say, he was charged for another set of offenses, also in relation to illegal mining. Now, that is quite extensive. That has 5 accused persons, including Chairman Wontumi. So the first accused person in the second case, also the Akonta Mining Company Limited, Chairman Wontumi, being the second accused person. We have one Kwame Antwi, who is at large, being the third accused person. Edward Ekuoku, who is the fourth accused person, and one Kwajo Owusu Bempa, aka Sly, who is the fifth accused person. He is also at large. Now, for us to properly understand, let's see who these accused persons were and what roles they are said to have played in the matters that have culminated in these charges for which the Attorney General is bringing these matters to or against them. Now, the first accused person, Akonta Mining.
Akonta Mining is the alleged company that Chairman Wontumi owns.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, it's a company he owns, which is alleged to be involved in some activities for which they've now been brought before court. Now, the second accused person, of course, is Chairman Wontumi. He's said to be one of 2 shareholders of the company, so it means that he co-owns that company with someone else. Okay. And also a co-director. The same 2 people serve as shareholders and directors of the company. So, the other details include their name, the incorporation of the company, and all that. That person is Kwame Antwi. He is said to be at large. Now, according to the Attorney General, when Chairman Wontumi was asked the whereabouts of this Kwame Antwi, who is now at large, Chairman Wontumi indicated that he does not know his whereabouts. That since they incorporated the company together in 2010, he has since not heard from him. Now, it goes on to also indicate one Edward Ekuoku. Now, Edward is also said to be the general manager of this particular company, and the 5th accused person is Kwajo Owusu Bempa. He is the operations manager of Akonta Mining. So we are talking about a shareholder and director, that's Chairman Wontumi, with a co-director shareholder who is at large. Yes, we are talking about the general manager of Akonta Mining, who is Edward, and we are talking about the operations manager of Akonta Mining. Of course, the last person is the company itself. So these are the people that in the separate or the second case, 7 charges have been brought against them.
So the lawyers of Chairman Wontumi tell us that they are likely not able to meet all the bail conditions. How does this affect the hearing or the case?
Well, so ideally, when a court grants you bail, you have to execute the bail bond. What it means is that whatever conditions that they've asked you to put on the table for your release should be met within before you can let go. So what we are understanding is that sometimes it's quite a procedure, and that procedure involves quite a number of people. Sometimes even the people themselves to get them to execute a bail can be very difficult. So what we are understanding, yes, they've got the bail all right, but it is now the question of how to execute the bail bond. For instance, you have to deal with the registrar of the court, who also has a closing time. It doesn't end there, especially where it has to do with landed property. And now we are told that some of the sureties are to be justified, and that meant that they had to use landed property to justify same. Sometimes even to verify that property alone is one hell of a task, because it involves other institutions like the Lands Commission. You have to do some valuation, and even the other aspect of it is for the CID to go and verify those properties that have been used to. So it's quite a process. And like we heard the council to Chairman Wontumi explain that even though they've got the bill, they still have to go through all those processes. And
right,
they
so
do not
then it's hold our thoughts. Let's speak to Lord Edwasari, who was in court today, and then we'll come back to that. Lord, you were in court today. Talk to us. Does it look like Chairman Wontumi is spending the night in jail tonight, or he's going home?
The MPP Ashanti Regional Chair will definitely spend tonight in the custody of the Criminal Investigation Department because the lawyers were unable to meet the bail conditions. The lead counsel, Andy Apiakubi, he talked about the frustrations involved in the bail conditions. He actually spoke about the fact that it is not a good precedent for bail conditions to be used as punishment on accused persons, but it's something that has come to stay, and he cited that it has to be addressed. Now, by and large, when the case was called, the second case, I should say, because as you realize, and we've been talking about, right after the morning when the first case was done, he was rearrested and arraigned before a separate court. This time around, this was the criminal courts, one presided over by Justice Ruby Ayite. Now, the charges that were proffered against them, he pleaded not guilty to all of them. The second accused was in the matter, the other accused person, Edward Akwoko, he also pleaded not guilty, and the results of which they were granted a 10 million cedi bail each, with two sureties to be justified. The Deputy Attorney General who led the prosecution today consistently made the case that these are people who are persons of interest, they are persons who are of substance, and so he indicated that they are flood risk. The same issue that he raised in the morning, only this time around, the presiding judge in the matter just ended it at the accused persons reporting to the investigators every other week, meaning they'll have to go to the investigators or report themselves to the investigators twice every month. What was absent here, unlike the first, the morning conditions, was him being placed on the stop list across the entry points in the country. This was not done. And Grace, an interesting thing happened when the case was called. Before the charges were read to him, Chairman Wontumi appeared bored. He was yawning throughout. Can tell, and another indication that he was probably tired was from everything that had been happening, because let's face it, it's been a very long day for him, right from the morning 9 a.m. and then till around 4 when the court closed. Because of the rains, everything kind of slowed down. So it's been a very long day for Chairman Wontumi and then the other accused person, Edward Akwoko. The prosecution indicated that two persons are actually at large. Now, this Kwame Antwi, I must note that in the morning, and again, this afternoon, the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Shamsa, he indicated that Chairman Wontumi himself has not been able to provide any evidence to the effect that this Kwame Antwi person is actually someone who exists. And so it's something that he wanted the court to recognize in that regard. So the case has been adjourned to November 4, by which time the judge has indicated that the prosecution is supposed to have filed all the disclosures and other documentation that they will rely on in this case. And so we are back in court on November 4, and then we'll see how things will pan out, Grace.
Right. Lord, let's listen to the lawyers of Chairman Wontumi and what they've been telling you.
We want to appreciate your presence. And we want to thank you for being with us through the day. Fortunately for us, we've been able to secure bail for Chairman Wontumi and his company and the other accused person. They have been admitted to bail on various sums and justification. We are working on executing the bail conditions. We are currently working with the registrar of the court. Unfortunately, at this time, we are not able to secure the release of the accused persons for reason that the police will have to go and inspect their houses, the sureties, the houses of the sureties, and come back and give a report before the registrar could execute the bail bonds. So for now, bail granted, in both cases. What I have to explain is that there is one case pending before Court 4, Criminal Court 4, and another pending before Criminal Court 1. We secured the bail and its associated conditions in the morning, only be slapped with another case that we needed to go to Court 1 to prosecute. So the charge sheet as given to us was around 2 o'clock. So the court has just finished with the second one and also granted bail. Meeting the bail conditions at this present time will be difficult, although we have the sureties and they have also brought the documents. We hope that tomorrow we'll be able to finish and then secure the release of the accused persons. We thank you very much for your time, and we hope that everything will find tomorrow.
Well, Chairman Wontumi's lawyer and the Appeal Kubi has also been speaking about why the bail condition should not be used as punishment. Let's listen to that.
It is a general situation that we have to address as a country. You see, the Criminal Procedure Code, Section 96(4) says that bail should not be used as punishment of the accused persons. We did that the articulation in court. The court took into consideration that admonition of the system. But because the precedent doesn't favor otherwise of treating accused persons fairly and without consideration of what they have alleged to have committed, and also making it difficult for them to be able to discharge their responsibility to secure the bail. It's a national issue that we need to discuss, and it's becoming too many that accused persons are being subjected to a difficulty of finding value for properties that will secure their bail. It is a national issue that we need to discuss. I'm not sure that there's anything untoward, but there is a process that we need to affect and make sure that it serves the purpose for which the law was made. And in any case, as I said in court, the Attorney General is also the Minister of Justice, so we should be in a position to protect the civil and liberties and rights of accused persons, because the position of the law is that accused person is deemed to be innocent until otherwise proven. And therefore we have to also protect their human rights even when they are labeled as accused persons until they are pronounced guilty.
And the Appeal Kubi is lawyer for Chairman Wontumi. My colleague Dennis Wadam is still in the studio. So Dennis, take us through the charges brought against Chairman Wontumi and the others, and then what do you think? Give us a sense of what the Attorney General is trying to achieve with these charges.
Well, so for emphasis, in the first case, the charges brought against Chairman Wontumi and 2 others include assignment of mineral rights without approval, assignment of mineral rights without approval. Again, there's one that has to do with corporate liability for unauthorized assignment, purposely facilitating unlicensed mining, and then yes, so the final one has to do with the count of abating the unauthorized erecting of building in a forest reserve. The second case basically border on almost the same offenses, except that it's mounted on similar set of facts. That also having to do with undertaking a mining operation without a license. Then the next has to do with felling trees in a forest reserve without written authority from the competent forest authority. And then finally, abating the unauthorized felling of trees in forest reserve. So these generally, okay, there's the final one which talks about erecting buildings in a forest reserve without written authority from the competent forest authority.
And what does it look like the AG is trying to do with these charges?
Well,
briefly?
so like the AG indicated in that the president engagement of the CSOs, they are determined to deal with the matters of illegal mining. For him, one of the steps that they intend to do is to prosecute quickly matters that have to do with illegal mining. The AG did indicate that as part of that expedited action in respect of illegal mining, they intend to set up public tribunals, and also that the Chief Justice has actually assured them he was going to assign specific courts to deal with these specific matters. So it does appear that these are things that the Attorney General takes very seriously and intend to pursue them in the coming days.
All right, Dennis, thank you for those updates. Dennis Wedam-Poaberi, my colleague and also a member of the legal desk here. Let's go on the phone and speak to legal practitioner Martin Kpebu, who has been very vocal when it comes to the issues of Galamsey and fighting it. Counsel, thank you for your time tonight on the show. Let me begin from a legal standpoint. How significant is it that the Attorney General has filed fresh charges against a high-profile figure like Chairman Wontumi?
Extremely significant, because now we have a proper poster child, in terms of kingpins for Galamsey. Yes. So Chairman Wontumi qualifies as a poster child because we all know, if not for anything at all, he's currently the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, right? And so for such a person to be hauled before our law courts for alleged involvement in Galamsey, he would be a good poster child because he's very popular. You see, so it brings the fight against Galamsey to a new and higher pedestal, because once the news are being churned out that Chairman Wontumi is going before the court for Galamsey, it will spread very quickly, because he has a huge following. And so conversations on the fight against Galamsey will be positive, because they'll be like, hey, the whole chairman himself. We all know the videos where he exhibited gold bars, where he showed his prowess, etc. So for such a very powerful and popular figure to be called before the courts, now we have a poster child that will help in the narrative, that would help in the advocacy, because it would be like, Charlie, even the big men are getting hauled before the law court. So if you're a small fish, you better be careful. That's the whole thing, because if the big fishes are getting being hauled before the courts, then what would happen to the small fishes? So that's good. It's good for the advocacy, it's good for the communication around the subject. And it's good that eventually he would answer for everything that we've seen that he's alleged to have been involved in. Because, we started this very vigorous campaign in October 2022, when four of us, that's myself, Ken Ashigbe, Kwame Saponisidu, and Eden Senano, we sent a petition to the CID because Erastus Asaredoko had done a documentary that showed that Chairman Wontumi was in the Takoradi forest. And we sent a copy of the documentary to the CID. And in the documentary, you see an Akunta mining car. Then apart from that, there were interviews by three notable persons, key industry players. That's the Minister for Lands and Forestry at the time, that's Abu Jinapo, Martin Eisi, the CEO of the Minerals Commission. And so let's just say the boss of the Forestry Commission. These three key industry players all came out to say they never gave Chairman Wontumi and Akunta Mining any license or authorization to enter the Takoradi forest. So these are witnesses. So it tells you that there is quite a bit of, evidence for him to answer. So, but the key point I'm making is that since 2022, because Akufo-Addo was in power, he was shielding Chairman Wontumi, and in actual fact, he sent a chill down the spines of the investigating authorities. That's at the time, Faustina and Kofi, COP, that was the CID boss at the time, and then IG Dampari. Their positions are political appointments. So once Akufo-Addo said Chairman Wontumi was not involved in any Galamsey when he met the Catholic Bishops' Conference in Koforidua, he sent a chill on the investigation because he was publicly telling Ghanaians that, look, I'm standing behind Chairman Wontumi. And, political appointees often in Ghana don't want to assert their independence against a certain president. So that chills the investigations. So it's good that eventually we had a change in government, and so now, since Chairman Wontumi doesn't have that much political power, he's going to face the law courts. He's going to be asked questions. That's accountability. Yes, and so let's note this. That brings me to my favorite pet subject about accountability. Do you know that even the charges alone, the filing of the charges alone, and even before the filing, the renewed efforts to bring him to court, the statements he went and wrote, and now the new thing, the filing of the case and its appearance in court alone, that's part of the process of accountability. Because now you see, we are doing this interview. We've said all the things we can say against him, though we also assert vigorously that he has not been convicted.
Yes.
But we are saying that we have seen him near our natural resources in a way that the law doesn't permit. We are allowed to say so. We've not said he's guilty. But once we've seen his company's vehicle in a video, and we've seen the distraction, we are allowed to talk. No court is stopping us. So I'm saying that this very conversation is also part of accountability, because indirectly it is, if not directly, it is naming and shaming him. So naming and shaming is a form of accountability. When he enters the court, you see today he said he's not guilty, the charges. He has spoken. It's a form of accountability because he was asked the question for each of the charges. Are you guilty or not guilty? That question, that elicited an answer from him, I'm not guilty, it's a form of accountability. So the question and answers, even before the final judgment, is also accountability, because you know the answers is given. We are also looking at the evidence we've seen so far, and we are like, hey, really? Okay, we'll see. So the answers, the fact that he had to open his mouth and talk, and then the rest of the talk he had to do through his lawyer, it's also accountability. So let's not wait for only the judgment day. That's not how accountability is measured.
The process itself.
Final day.
The process itself is even accountability enough.
Excellent. That's the point I'm making.
So, Council, you earlier mentioned the Tano Nimiri Forest, and if you look at the reported damage to the forest and the Tano River, what legal remedies do you think exist to hold companies accountable for environmental destruction beyond fines or imprisonment?
Okay, so by law, there is what we call the reclamation. So usually the companies are required to post bonds to show how they will reclaim. But that is for those companies that have legal licenses. So those that have been licensed are asked to prepare for reclamation or decommissioning. But for illegal mining, it means that the person has not been properly licensed. So perhaps what we should be doing is that after the criminal case, or even if we don't have to wait for the criminal case to end, we can sue for compensation to use to reclaim the land. Yeah, so in law, in theory, you can do the two cases at the same time, that he's facing criminal trial and also he's facing a civil trial, except that in practice, usually lawyers, once you start one, they'll tell you to wait. But nothing stops us from doing the two at the same time. Yes.
And lawyer, some say that granting a 10 million city bail sends a mixed signal, tough on paper but lenient in practice. What's your take on how bail conditions should work in high-impact environmental cases like this? His lawyer says they are likely not to meet it today and probably will get working tomorrow.
You see, the meaning of the 10 million is that if Chairman Wontumi absconds, the person who signs the bail bond will be taken to court to pay that sum. So, well, until maybe you can tell me that it will cost more than 10 million to reclaim the forest, I will not call it lenient on paper. So, I like us to be scientific. You know, now that's our buzzword. Let's be scientific on it so that it doesn't appear we are opposing everything. So 10 million is being put as the bail bond. It means that presumably it will be able to cover the extent of the damage. Maybe not 100%, but the way you're asking questions, maybe we can ask the Attorney General why they were asking for what figure. Is it that they sent experts to assess the cost of reclamation, etc.? Then we will know. But until we've asked the Attorney General those questions, I'm not in a position to start condemning the figure as being too low. Otherwise, I'm not being scientific. What have you asked? You've not asked the duty bearer the questions. So if you've not received data, you can't analyze. The analysis will be false. So perhaps you can direct questions to the AG to find out, have we assessed, is there a report that has gone to assess the extent of damage and then put figures to it? And is that the figure that they asked?
All right. So, lawyer, maybe before I let you go, you are both a lawyer and also an anti-Galamsey campaigner. Why do you think the biggest loopholes lie in the law? Is it in the law itself? Is it in enforcement or in political interference?
It's a combination of all of the above. So, but yes, because, enforcement is not being done 100% because naturally, some people have vested interest. You see the cases in which some MPs could, complain that, with this, I'll win MP, then an MP around Takoradi. I know there's a third MP. Currently, they are the ones who are being named and shamed, even though there are no official charges against them. So what I'm saying is that you can read in between the lines that when an MP is said to be involved in Galamsey, then by all means, it has an effect on the police in his constituency. Police will not likely go and arrest an MP. So there's an element of political interference there, right? And so that is one aspect. You also look at NIMOS, that's the intergovernmental task force on the Galamsey side. They don't have enough men. At the last public engagement by the president with the CSOs, finally it was agreed that we need to pump more money into the Galamsey side. I was telling somebody that maybe we have to cancel one road contract. Certainly it involves sacrificing some, at least, it's one or two of the projects in the budget.
Okay.
And so when we do so, we can publicly announce that this is the project we have sacrificed so that we can get more money for the Galamsey side. Because if I heard it right, I understand the sum dedicated to Galamsey side in the budget is 50 million, which is woefully inadequate. So we need to pump in more money. But most especially, the new thing that is exciting in the fight is the fact that now we are stationing the security forces there permanently, and I hope that the police will be the face of the fight. Yes, the military can serve as backup, but they shouldn't be the face.
All right.
Yes, and so we need to recruit more police and more blue water guards.
Thank you, Counsel.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Counsel. Lawyer Martin Pegu there talking to us about the fight against illegal mining from the legal perspective. This is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's still stay on the tangent of illegal mining because the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS Task Force, has launched a major crackdown on notorious Galamsey hideouts in the Western region, with many arrested and several equipment seized or destroyed. Meanwhile, a Takwa Circuit Court has remanded 12 individuals into prison custody for their involvement in the destruction of some rail lines at Achem, a suburb of Takwa. Let's go on the phone, talk to Irama Smith, my colleague in the Western region. Irama, talk to us about this crackdown by the NIMOS.
Right, Grace. So on Monday, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, you earlier mentioned the NIMOS Task Force raided Gangway, and this is a community at Abosu in Prestea Huni Valley District. And, usually with these illegal miners, when they start mining at particular places, you see communities springing up as more people migrate there to also try their luck. So this is just one of such places called Gangway. And earlier in June, the task force had warned them to vacate the place, but it has even increased and is more established. So during this raid, they set ablaze several makeshift structures, and then the locals, hundreds of them, they were arrested. That place, it has become typical of many Galamsey settler communities you find gamblers, you find traders, drug peddlers, among others, and the galamseers themselves. So all these people, those who were on site, were arrested and their equipment destroyed, and whatever they could lay hands on was destroyed. But before they even got there, you know, when you are moving from the from secondary Takoradi or Aguna Kwanta, moving towards Prisia University, you pass through Takwa in Swahili. So they conducted another operation at Dadrin Dumping, where they seized 15 water pumping machines and destroyed a generator, 3 sound fines, and other equipment used by the illegal mining.
Irama, thank you for bringing us those updates. My colleague Irama Smith updating us on that crackdown by the NIMO. So the 12 who have been remanded by the courts are... The suspects are Larry Kweku, who is 30 years, Ali Esuma, 33 years, Yindari Mombe, 19 years, Dennis Adom, 29 years, Alex Kofi Akwa, 27 years, Jonathan Agando, 30 years, Lambing Noisi, 38 years, Isaac Ahin, 33 years, Nuruddin Kwabna, 22 years, Kwame Simo, 27 years, Jude Azum, 20 years, Combat Daniel, 18 years, and they are all residents of Achim who are facing trial as they have been charged with conspiracy to commit crime, undertaking mining operations without a license, and causing unlawful damage. During court proceedings today, their pleas were not taken as prosecution team prayed the court to forward the case docket to the Attorney General for advice. The presiding judge therefore remanded the accused persons into prison custody for 2 weeks. They are expected to reappear on October 21, 2025. The arrest of the 12 individuals followed the circulation of a viral video that captured extensive illegal mining activities dangerously close to the railway tracks, as well as the assault of a staff member of the Ghana Railway Company. Acting on the report, a joint police team made up of personnel from the Regional Operations Unit, Police Intelligence Directorate, and the formed Police Unit FPU was deployed to the area. Upon arrival, the team discovered deep mining pits and trenches dug directly beneath sections of the railway line, leaving parts of the track hanging and unsupported. Exhibits retrieved from the scene included 3 water pumping machines, while several chamfer machines used in the illegal mining operation were destroyed. And so that is the latest there coming from that viral video you have been seeing in social media. So if you are joining us on Facebook, you can see the visuals as displayed on our screens right now. The 12 who have been arrested, young men aged between 19 and 33 years who are involved in illegal mining, and the National Anti-Illegal Mining Galamsey Task Force have undertaking a crackdown in the Western region, arresting 12 of these men who are now facing prosecution. And during court proceedings today, their plea were not taken. And so the prosecution team prayed the court to forward the case to the Attorney General for advice. This is not the first of such crackdowns by the Anti-Galamsey Task Force, who have been assuring Ghanaians that they are doing everything possible to ensure that they bring the fight against illegal mining to a success by Ghanaians. This is one of the many of the reasons why the president says maybe the call for a state of an emergency is too early, because the NIMOS is still on grounds. They are doing everything possible to win the fight against Galamsey. And so, well, we'll be bringing more on this as we try and work the phone to speak to Seth Wala Shime, who is a mining consultant. While we do that, though, the former Auditor General Daniel Yao Dumelevu, who was a member of the committee that handled the petitions against former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, has accused former Attorney General Ni Aikwe Otu of presenting fake documents as evidence during the in-camera proceedings. Mr. Dumelevu said he found it interesting that Mr. Aikwe would present such documents to the committee to defend Madam Tokono. Ni Aikwe Otu was one of the witnesses who testified in the embattled former Chief Justice's case. Shortly after appearing before the committee, Mr. Aikwe Otu had insisted that Justice Tokono's request to embark on vacation was fully compliant with established entitlement and procedures. Mr. Otu dismissed claims of financial impropriety, arguing that any dispute over allowances should have been handled through an audit process rather than being used as grounds for removal. He spoke on the KSM show.
Now let's come to Mr. Ayukwe Otu's attack on me. I find it very interesting. He said he has provided all the evidence to Mr. Domelevo, a former Auditor General, and I sat there and I didn't take it, and other people, I was whatever influenced my decision, he doesn't know. I want to put it on record that he provided us with evidence that were fake evidence. It will interest you to know that it is the junior of the Chief Justice, the Judicial Secretary, who appointed the Chief Justice. How is that? Yes, that letter he produced is signed by the Judicial Secretary appointing a Chief Justice. So if you follow the briefing that the Attorney General has been given, a lot of work is going on. When you ask, are you satisfied? I'll say no, I am not satisfied. Because I can't see the end of the tunnel, not to talk about the light at the end of the tunnel. I can't even see it. I don't even see the end of the tunnel before the light, because I know this may continue until there's a change. In fact, the prayer of the corporates and their lawyers is that there should be a change in government. Then you hear nolli prosequa and etc., and our money is gone. The procedure that Attorney General currently is using is going to be very difficult. 9 months. 9 months is not small, my brother. Before we realize, we have finished the quarter of the term of President Mahama. So I think we have to change the speed at which we are moving and let people gain the confidence that things are moving and moving very fast. It begs one question. Doesn't mean they didn't prepare before coming to office, or they were not ready for winning the election. Because when I look at the quantum of money that we should recover and the speed, the snail speed at which we are moving, I'm like, when are we going to get there? We may not get there. We need to change the legal framework. And let me be blunt here. If government refuses to do these changes, it only tells me that either they are also doing the same thing, they are also stealing, or they have intention of stealing. That is the only motivation which will stop you from doing these things, which brings about quick win.
Well, the former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo there. Let me take you back to that illegal mining story on that crackdown by NIMOS, as well as the operations of illegal miners around the Takoradi Nsuta Railway Line. Let's get on the phone and talk to Awula Sewa, who is the National Coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens. Awula, this is not the first time we're talking to you about Galamsey, and we hope it is going to be the last, because we don't get to hear about these issues of illegal mining anymore. Why we do that, though? What does this latest incident near the Takoradi Nsuta Railway Line reveal about the weaknesses in Ghana's monitoring and enforcement framework for small-scale mining operations?
Well, good evening to you and your listeners. What has been happening is that people are just operating with impunity. We seem to be in a situation that people say they can do what they like. So let's commend NIMOS, let's commend them for their prompt action, and let's hope that this continues. It has to go on simultaneously with the illegal mining. One needs to go there, stop the environmental terrorism, also get to the financiers, those who are financing some of this activity. And I think it's a step in the right direction, but it face an existential threat. And we look at the enormity of the situation. That is why civil society was asking for a state of emergency, because the situation is dire. The situation is dire, and we need to act swiftly and promptly. And, as we speak, there's so many areas where NIMOS needs to go to. So we need the resources, manpower, and everything to deal with this canker before it engulfs us.
Anola, it's been 2 months since government launched a responsible small-scale mining scheme, and does it appear that nothing much is coming out of it so far?
You see, even with responsible small-scale mining, the most important thing is the enforcement. You see, you can say that these are the regulations, but if I'm not there to enforce it's not going to lead to any good outcome. Look at small-scale mining or community mining, I wanted to say. The monitoring wasn't there. Let's call a spade a spade. We don't have the resources to monitor. And because we don't have the resources to monitor, that's why some people have said, put all the small-scale mining on hold until you have the resources, until the duty bearers can ensure that when you're giving a mining license, you're going to abide by all the mining regulations. If you can't be there to monitor and ensure that there's compliance, you can say responsible mining. It's not going to happen. You're giving somebody a driving license. That doesn't mean that the mere fact that he's gone to driving school and he has a driving license, he's going to drive responsibly. You need to be ensuring that you check what is being done. And if there are infractions, you deal with them. And this is the dilemma we have right now. And as it is now, our fear is how resource names it. As I speak, in Atronsu, reports have been made that an excavator has found its way close to the stream. The only source of drinking water in Atronsu, the Atronsu stream. Nemos has been made aware of this. But of course, Nemos cannot be everywhere at once if it's not properly resourced. So as at now, Nemos hasn't been able to go there to remove the excavator. There's so many other places. So time is not on our side, and because of the magnitude of the problem we face, we really need to do something urgent now.
I'm not talking about doing something urgent. We know that Nemos some hours ago engaged in this crackdown, arresting a lot of people. We also know that this morning, some 12 persons who were allegedly causing damage to the Takoradi Nsuta Rail Line were in court to face prosecution. We also know again today, Chairman Wontumi is also facing some charges when it comes to illegal mining. Don't you think this looks like government is doing something, probably moving in a direction that's it will really...
We applaud government. Nobody is saying that these are not steps to be celebrated. But I'm talking about the enormity of the problem we face. So many of our water bodies have been polluted. There are transfers on our water bodies as we speak. Our forest reserves are being decimated. Yes, they've been arrested, but we need to have more boots on the ground, go to more places simultaneously, because the house is burning. And yes, we're putting out some of the fires, and new ones are being set. So we are saying that the enormity of the problem, we really need to have more boots on the ground and deal with more of the situations at once.
What specifically would you want to see government do?
I'm commenting what is going on. I'm saying in addition, I don't know the strength of our armed forces, but we need to mobilize all of them so that we can, at the same time as some forces are on the railways, others are in the forest reserves, others are in other hotspots, so we can bring this fire that is raging to an end quickly, because we do not have time on our side when our food chain has been contaminated. And as we speak, more fires are being set by the environmental terrorists.
Aula, thank you for talking to us. Aula Sewa is National Coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens, talking to us about the efforts we are putting in to overcome the damaging effects of galamsey on environment as well as human existence. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Time now for us to do some business now, and my colleague Bismarck Awusa is here. Bismarck, come and give us the latest when it comes to the world of business.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusa. Coming up tonight, Bank of Ghana pushes banks to support stability drive through strict adherence to local regulatory provisions and reduced forex outflows. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has asked commercial banks to strictly adhere to domestic regulatory provisions to help strengthen the country's financial system and sustain economic stability. Speaking at the post-MPC engagement with heads of banks in Accra, Dr. Isiama emphasized that consolidating recent macroeconomic gains requires a joint effort between the Bank of Ghana and the banking industry. He urged banks to comply with key local regulatory measures, including the use of local insurance companies for import coverage to help reduce foreign exchange leakages and improve local liquidity.
The task of consolidating stability is a shared one. Sustaining a stable exchange rate or deepening credit to productive sectors and expanding exports. These require close collaboration between the Bank of Ghana and the banking industry. I want to encourage all banks to design and promote export-oriented financial products. I want to encourage them to support SMEs and agribusiness, and I want to encourage them to work with us to enhance FX sourcing through formal channels. And in the same spirit, I want to urge banks to adhere to domestic regulatory provisions. I want to emphasize that please adhere to our regulatory provisions. A number of areas to emphasize: the use of local insurance companies for import coverage. That's one issue that has come up strongly to help reduce foreign exchange leakages and build local liquidity.
And that was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama. Moving on, the fight against illegal mining, locally known as galamsey, could be won by targeting a single crucial resource, that is fuel. That is the view of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSI. Executive Director Benjamin Nsia is calling for a concerted effort to starve illegal operations of the petroleum products used to power their heavy machinery in off-grid enclaves. The persistence of illegal mining has devastating economic and environmental effects on Ghana, an issue compounded by the parallel problem of fuel smuggling and tax evasion. The primary economic impact stems from the evasion of taxes, royalties, and regulatory fees by illegal miners and fuel smugglers.
Most of the galamsey sites are off-grid sites. That means that most of them are not connected to the national grid. And their operations demand a lot of fuel, especially most of the chamfans they use, most of the excavators they use, and also most of the pumping generators they use. All these various infrastructure or various operational equipment relies on fuel. Yet, in solving the menace, we've also considered how these galamseyers also get fuel to power most of these machinery. I think that the MP has not been effective enough in policing how fuel are being diverted from most retail outlets to these galamsey sites. And I think if you want to also stop galamsey, it is good that MP also develops a plan to tackle some of these diversions and then cut the supply of fuel to most of these sites. If they don't have the fuel or they don't get the fuel, I don't think that they'll be able to operate their machines effectively, and most of them are likely going to withdraw from these activities.
And that was Executive Director of CEMSI, Benjamin Nsia, suggesting that cutting off fuel supply is key to ending galamsey. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck or Awusa. Oriel Kwampofu is here for Sports, please stay.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's head to the camp of the Black Stars in Morocco, who have just completed their final training session ahead of the game against Central African Republic on Wednesday, the penultimate World Cup qualifier. My colleague Michael Otieje observed the team's session and put together this report.
So, the final training session before the storm itself, and the storm is a pretty big one. It's a storm that the Black Stars are hoping will finish with a place at the 2026 FIFA World Cup around the time that Ghana will kick off against the Central African Republic in this very stadium here. Madagascar will be playing against Comoros, and then Chad will be playing against Mali. The only thing that matters to Ghana, win that game, and then all will be set. Coach Otuado is training with a full set of every single player that he invited. Our guess is that he will start with pretty much a lot of the players who started. There's the likes of Benjamin Asari, Caleb Yonchi has come in, Gideon Mensah is back in the side, Jiku is around, Thomas Partey was brilliant against Mali. Sibo played alongside him. Mohamed Kudus had a good game. Antoine Semenyo is coming into his own. Otuado will try with this final training session to find the relevant balance and give Ghana everything required. The Black Stars have been really good in World Cup qualifying, save that draw against Chad. So pretty simple, dynamic, do as well as they can. They will get a feel of this pitch. And then on Wednesday, they will hope that that feel of this pitch will translate into one of the best performances that Ghana has seen. It's a big game, and everybody is expecting that the team will turn up big, including former Ghana captain Asamoah Gyan.
Well, speaking of former Ghana captain Asamoah Gyan, he says that he believes that with time, the current crop of the Black Stars players will eventually translate their club form into the national team.
Playing the national team, the national team, we have all the best players from every players coming to the national team, so everybody is ready. When we come to the club side, we have players who play in the national team. Some doesn't play, they are different kind of players altogether, But your question is a bit dicey when it comes to that. Sometimes I don't understand why. Sometimes it happens like that, But I'm sure. When they keep playing each other every time, they'll just have their confidence back, and then they can play together.
So that was Asamoah Gyan speaking to Michael Otieje exclusively for 3 Sports. Remember that you can get some more build-up reaction ahead of the game against Central African Republic here on our social media handles at 3 Sports GH, and you can also join us for commentary on the game 4 p.m. on Wednesday. So my name is Ore Kwampofo, and that's the sports segment here for now, and also bringing an end to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. You can tune in same time tomorrow for the latest news here in Ghana, on the continent, and on the globe as well.